Today is the day. Today is that fateful day that we have been dreading. We were praying that it wouldn't actually happen, but today it actually has happened. Today is the day that Arsenal won the league. Every single season is defined by a particular moment, a particular weekend, a particular passage of play. Every single title-winning season is remembered by a particular thing, an eternal moment that will forever be synonymous with that season. And today, we witnessed this season's version of that. Arsenal's most important moment this season happened today. In fact, you could almost argue that Arsenal's most important moment for over 2 decades happened today. That scorpion kick, an incredible goal. The Puskas Award this season, the best goal that I have seen. I thought Dorgu's goal last week was good. I thought Harry Wilson's goal a couple of weeks ago was good. But the scorpion kick today, scored by Dom Solanke, is in some definition the most important goal scored for Arsenal for 2 decades. And it was a thing of beauty. Arsenal didn't play today, but it's a day that should long be remembered in their history. It's the day that they won the Premier League title. Arsenal have already won the league twice at White Hart Lane. Comically, Arsenal have already won the league once more at White Hart Lane than Tottenham. And on some definition today, they won it a third time. The league was secured for Arsenal at White Hart Lane for a third time. Today's game at White Hart Lane may not have even featured Arsenal, but the ramifications of that Tottenham versus Manchester City fixture will reverberate around Arsenal for an eternity. The history of Arsenal has been changed by the goings-on at White Hart Lane yet again. The marble halls, the new stadium, the history, Tony Adams, Charlie George, through to Ian Wright, back to Herbert Chapman, everything Arsenal has been affected by a game in which they didn't even play, a game that featured their bitterest rivals. And that is something I didn't expect would happen, but it is something that we could kind of see happening. It was a goal that has secured Arsenal their league title. It was scored by a Tottenham player. A Tottenham player has guaranteed Arsenal the Premier League. I mean, it's almost poetic for Arsenal that it was Tottenham, and it's almost poetic for Arsenal that it was one of the most beautifully crafted goals I think I've ever seen. I love those kind of artistry moments. I love that kind of ingenuity in front of goal. I think football is becoming incredibly formulaic, and what Dominic Solanke did was worthy of winning a title. And it did. That is what happened today. And now, I know how it works. I know that no Arsenal fan will ever openly celebrate a Tottenham goal. I know that no Arsenal fan can ever really want Tottenham to win a game of football. I know that Arsenal fans, in their makeup, in their DNA, in who they are, they despise everything about Tottenham Hotspur. But I also know that there would have been a pang of excitement, an unexpected pang of excitement, as Dom Solanke made contact. The ball looped delicately over Donnarumma's outstretched arm, and Rodri looked on helpless. There would have been this weird pang of happiness in every single Arsenal fan's pit of their stomach watching that. There would have been a fist clench, a regrettable fist clench. I imagine a long-denied fist clench. But you can be honest. You can be honest with me. You can confess. You feel dirty. You're not sure who you are anymore. Your equilibrium is off. You celebrated a Tottenham goal. It was unintentional, but if you're completely honest with yourself, it happened. And I think you were right to do so because it's won you a league title. This is the weekend. This weekend is when it happened. And like I say, I have experience of winning Premier League titles. I've been in the stadium and watched Chelsea win titles. I was at the Reebok. I was at Stamford Bridge. I was at Liverpool when we basically won it there. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know what it takes to win a league title. And this is the weekend that it happened. I can remember. And the reason why I say it's always defined by a particular moment or a particular weekend or a particular set of fixtures is because I know, like years ago, depending on your age, you will remember Chelsea winning a title. We went in the January to Ewood Park. In fact, first weekend of February, went to Ewood Park. Arjen Robben scored the goal. The game finished 1-0. Aaron Mokoena broke Arjen Robben's foot on the same day. We celebrated in the away end. All the players were chucking their shirts in. It was the first weekend of February because we knew that we had won it. And Aaron Mokoena breaking Arjen Robben's foot was a heartbreaker, but we knew that we had won the league title that night at Ewood Park in early February. More recently, We went in 2017 to Sunderland. I went up there. A midweek game away at Sunderland. Cesc Fabregas scores the winner. Thibaut Courtois makes the save of his life. My mate turns around. He's sitting in the seats in front of me. We're in the away end in the upper tier. He turns around and he goes, season-defining save. Season-defining save from Thibaut Courtois. Cesc Fabregas winner, season-defining save. That was when we knew we'd won it. And this weekend that we've just seen, Arsenal have gone away to Ellen Road. They have gone away in a banana skin fixture and they've put in an... boring's not the right word, a professional performance. But they've also won 4-0 away from home at a tricky away ground. A team in form, up against Calvert-Lewin. Bukayo Saka injured just before the game started. There were a lot of reasons as to why it couldn't go their way. And they got a victory at a canter. They also found victory off the back of the Manchester United defeat. So everything here, if you're making a cake, all of the ingredients going into the victory at Ellen Road, it's making it more and more tasty. It's making it more and more perfect until it becomes a Michelin star meal. Because that's what's ultimately been served up. Then you juxtapose that victory at Ellen Road with all of the caveats that I just mentioned, with all of the context that I just mentioned, and you juxtapose it with what happened at White Hart Lane. You juxtapose it with Tottenham putting out a totally makeshift backline, having a situation where they have fans considering a walkout during the game. They have a situation where it's almost untenable for the manager. A totally makeshift team. And ultimately they had an issue with their captain, Christian Romero. Manchester City, without barely any noise, go into an unassailable 2-0 lead at half-time. 2-0 without even getting out of second gear. Nothing happened. When I was watching that game and I could see the players having their names read out, it just felt totally silent, totally calm. There was no real atmosphere at Tottenham. It felt diluted. It felt deflated. And Manchester City were in a 2-0 lead. It was game over. If you are capable of winning a league title, that is it. It's over. And suddenly we saw everything that we saw from Arsenal, we saw the opposite from City. Arsenal were robust. They were up for the fight. They were ready to win. They found a way. Manchester City were vulnerable. They were timid. They were almost diluted of anything. And you think about the spine. Was Erling Haaland even on the pitch? Where was the tenacity that we associate with Rodri? What was going on? Why did Phil Foden come on so late? Pep Guardiola, very, very prickly in his post-match interview. And we are almost conditioned to believe that Manchester City are ready to launch a serious and sustained bid to win the league. We are conditioned to believe that there's going to be a title race. We're conditioned to believe that City will find the form, will find the rhythm, and will go on a run. And now I ask you, tell me in the comments, why? Why do you believe that? It's because you are conditioned to believe it because you've seen it before. It's not because of anything that you have seen so far this season. Not one thing. Everything that we know about City this season suggests that they are a damp squib. They are an impotent force. That's what they are. They aren't capable. Do you honestly think that the Pep Guardiola side that we can keep comparing this team to would have let a 2-goal lead slip against this poxy Tottenham team? Tottenham have just been done by West Ham. This Tottenham team is so beatable. And if you honestly believe that the Pep Guardiola team of Kevin De Bruyne, the Pep Guardiola team of Centurions, the Pep Guardiola team of treble winners would ever let a lead slip in that circumstance, then you are completely mistaken. This Tottenham team are a team languishing in the bottom half of the Premier League. They have an injury-ravaged squad. They have an unhappy fan base. No Maddison, no Kulusevski, no Van de Ven. And we're comparing this City team to teams like the Centurions, thinking that they can somehow put a run together, and they just can't. Manchester City have won 1 in 6. It's draw after draw after draw after draw, and they've not scored a second half goal in 2026. And I ask you again about Erling Haaland, because I think that Erling Haaland is actually putting in disgraceful performances. I think it is so underwhelming what he is doing. And all of this should be music to the ears of Arsenal fans. Even now, it's got to the stage where Manchester City fans want Haaland dropped. Manchester City fans are ready to have Haaland dropped. Haaland is the most well-paid footballer in the Premier League. Surely that you can extrapolate from that to say he's the most well-paid footballer in Europe. And he is doing nothing. He's not involved. He's losing duels. He's vanishing from the challenge. He is being swallowed whole. Everything I'm saying here totally chimes with Arsenal winning the league. If Erling Haaland isn't going to drive them to a league title, who is? Who is? There isn't the force there. It just isn't there. And I think that we need to almost now redefine this title race. It isn't a title race. There isn't a title race. For there to be a title race, this City team would have to be seen as being a City team of champions. But they aren't. Like, with respect to them, and I mean this with respect, these are City players who were recently recruited from Bournemouth. They were recently recruited from Crystal Palace. They were recently recruited from Frankfurt. They were recently recruited from Wolverhampton Wanderers. They aren't the team of ruthless winners that they once were. This is not a team of icons. This is not a team where you had players like Phil Foden and Riyad Mahrez sitting on a bench. This is a team where you have players chronically out of form, like Erling Haaland, having to start. So I think it's now time that we accept that Mikel Arteta's side will be crowned champions in May. In fact, they will be crowned champions in April. They may even be crowned champions when they go to the Etihad and win the league. Think about that. Arsenal Football Club, there is one thing that I think every football fan in the country must be jealous of Arsenal for: where you win the league. Now look, there is no bad place to win a league title, but there is an Arthur good place to win it. And Arsenal have been spoilt on this. Arsenal have won the league at White Hart Lane twice. Can you imagine winning a league at White Hart Lane? Like, we've won it at the Reebok, and it was one of the best days of my entire life. It really was an outrageously brilliant day. I was at the Hawthorns. when Michy Batshuayi scored. It was amazing. Like, Chelsea fans on the pitch, Chelsea fans all over the place. It was amazing. But it was the Hawthorns. Arsenal have won the league at Old Trafford. Arsenal have won the league at Tottenham. I say that again because it's happened twice. Arsenal have won the league at Tottenham. And Arsenal have won the league, not the Premier League, but the league in the most glorious fashion. The most glorious fashion ever. At Anfield. Needing to beat Liverpool by 2 and securing it in the last minute at Anfield. They now have the opportunity to win it at the Etihad against Guardiola. That would actually be the defining moment for Mikel Arteta. The defining moment, the passing of the baton. The moment where the apprentice has become the sorcerer. And if you aren't an Arsenal fan, it's time to accept it. Life will be easier when you just accept that this is happening. Arsenal are the best team in the country. They're partly the best team in the country because of their own brilliance, and they're partly the best team in the country because there isn't a challenger. Arsenal have been so dominant that they have batted away every possible challenger and pulled away and created a cushion. Villa, it was over. Man City, it was over. Arsenal, it's in the bag. Thank you so much for watching this video. It hasn't been enjoyable to make, but it is completely and utterly true. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a like. Please give it a thumbs up. Please give it some hype points, whatever the hell they do. And please do click subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. I wish you a good night and commiserations to the rest of London and every other football fan. The day belongs to you, Arsenal. Salut.